tutorial on basic plane design. Now, I'm doing this in point 22, and really for a plane, all you need is an engine, some fuel, and some wings. It should be that simple. So we're just going to start off with a simple pod here and get some jet fuel tanks. We'll put 3 of them on, I guess. Sounds like a good number. And then, where's the... Okay, you got 2 engines to choose from though when you're building a plane. And you got your turbojet engine and your basic jet engine. Basically, the big thing is the turbojet has much more power. But also, its efficiency is much higher than the basic jet engine for higher altitudes. So, in other words, if you're building a space plane, you want to use these turbojets. Now, if you're building a low-flying, just basic jet, you want to use the basic jet engine, obviously. So we're just going to throw that on the back there of the fuel tanks. And let's see, where are intakes? So jet engines, as I'm sure everyone knows, require air to work. Instead of having an oxidizer, it takes air and uses it as an oxidizer. So we're just going to slap on 2 intakes here, 1 on each side of the front. Now these right here are basically only good at lower altitudes. Higher altitudes, they don't work very well. These right here, the circular intakes, same basic thing. Lower altitudes, they work great. Higher altitudes, not so much. They begin to struggle. The ram air intakes, though, on the other hand, these go great with the turbojet engine and are designed for higher altitudes and higher speeds. So, now that we have that out of the way, we're just going to build a very simple plane. Take these delta wings, remember symmetry, so you get them equal on both sides. Bring up your center of mass and your center of lift. And the blue ball is the center of lift, and the yellow is the center of mass. Now, you want to position it as close as you can to the center, but just slightly, ever so slightly, behind the center of mass. And then put on control surfaces, which I hate trying to get those things turned the right way, but now, as you guys can see, the control surfaces change the center of lift, so we gotta readjust the whole wing just by a tiny little bit. And we're gonna take a wing hook here and throw this on the back to act as a tail fin. Lastly, of course, you're gonna need some landing gear. Just gonna throw one there and put, let's see, 2 back here. Just like that. And once again, the landing gear changed the center of mass just a tiny bit. Actually, it's better just to do the wings very last and get all the weight of the craft positioned and do the wings very last, just because your center of mass is going to change with every small part you add. You add an air intake, it's going to change. You add a single landing gear, it's going to change. So like I said, the simple thing to do is just do the wings absolutely last. So here we got our little test plane on the runway. I'm going to go ahead and hit space to start the engine, throttle it up. Getting a good bit of speed already, actually. Let's see if we can pull up. Not yet. So, one thing though, if you're building a space plane, it's always a good idea to have the resource tab open and watch the amount of intake air you have. If you run out of intake air, the engine will quit working and you've got no power. Here's the end of the runway. Let's see if we can fly this. So press G to bring the gear up. We'll go ahead and turn SAS on. And here we go. We've got a pretty stable aircraft. It's quick to respond, but it's not overpowering. So as you guys can see, we're already down to a good bit of intake here is gone. That's because of the angle of attack we're at. Now the angle of attack is basically the angle at which the plane is at. And if you look at the nav ball, we're at roughly a 30-degree angle. Now, if I drop the angle, our intake air should increase by a little bit. And as you guys, if you've seen, it went up by a single point, or tenth of a point, 0.92. At higher altitudes, with the ram air intake and the circular intake, it can make a huge difference. Your angle that you find out in the air. Now, with this one, not so much. Like I said, it depends on your altitude, and of course your speed. The higher up you are in the air, the faster you will go, because the air is thinner. But at the same time, the faster you go at higher altitudes, the less fuel you will use. Why? Because the higher up you are in the altitude, and the quicker you go, you're shoving more air into the intakes. More air means more fuel efficient. So for a high-flying plane of any kind, if you're designing a plane that flies at, I don't know, 25 kilometers above the ground, for that right there, you want to have turbojet engines and ram intakes. And you want to be going as fast as you possibly can when you're up at that altitude. Because as I said, the faster you go, the more fuel efficient you'll be. If you right-click on an intake, it will show you the airspeed. You want the airspeed right there to be as high as it will go. Basically, that's it for basic plane tutorials. Just remember a few small things, and that is you always want your center of mass, your center of lift to be just a smidge, just a little tiny hair behind your center of mass. If that's the case, it should fly stable. If it's in front of it or too far behind it, it'll spin out of control like many people's planes do. And remember, choose the right intake for the purpose of the plane. If you're doing a low-flying plane, these air scoops will work fine. And the basic jet engine will work fine for low altitude. Higher altitude, get the ram intakes and the turbojet engines. What else is there? Always remember the tail fin. That right there is a very important part that will really help control the aircraft in flight. And let's see, anything else to cover as little quick reminders? Not that I can think of. Also, if you're coming in for landing and you've got a very fast plane, like I just came in way too fast for landing. If you're coming in for landing with a very fast plane, I mean, it might be a good idea to bring along a what's called a drag chute, just to help you along. Now, on the forums, there's a mod that is called the Real Chute mod, and it allows, well, not really allows, but it adds different types of chutes, one being a drag chute. And it works by, it stays deployed when you touch the ground, and it will slow your plane down. If anyone's ever seen the space shuttle land, that's a drag chute. Come in very handy. I've used them before, and yeah, it just really works and helps you land a lot safer. So anyway, that's it for this video, guys. Hope you found this tutorial helpful. And next, I'll be doing a advanced aircraft design tutorial where we will build a space plane and hopefully get to orbit. Anyway, goodbye.